Dogecoin spikes 10% as Musk takes almost $3 billion stake in Twitter. Now, I've been following Musk on Twitter for quite some time. One of the things that I noticed here recently was he was doing a whole bunch of posturing surrounding Twitter in relation to free speech. Basically saying, should Twitter be a free speech platform? In his opinion, yes. And then, of course, in the opinion of most users, it seems to be yes, right? And one of the things that was interesting is that as he started posturing, it just started to become more and more apparent that he had something else in mind. And as of today, I believe around 7 a.m., we got this article. And a little bit before that, we started getting information on Elon Musk basically purchasing, I believe it was like 9% or a pretty hefty share of Twitter. Let's get into it. So prices of some other meme coins increase in tandem. It's kind of funny that there's a relationship, oddly enough, between just whatever Elon does and Dogecoin. It didn't seem like he was like, hey, I bought, maybe it would make sense if he was like, I bought 9.2% of Twitter via, Dogecoin profits. But that's not what happened. So it's kind of interesting that it always relates back to that. But Dogecoin's Doge token spiked some 10% on Monday as Elon Musk was revealed to hold a 9.2% stake in social media company Twitter Incorporated, worth around $2.8 billion. Data shows that Dogecoin jumped from 14 cents to over 15 cents several minutes after the reports of Musk's stake came out at 10:30 UTC. At the time of writing, prices fell slightly, I guess, to 15.4 cents from the 15.5 or 15.6 cents. I have to go look again too, because this has probably changed since the early morning. But the bump had a correlated effect on some other meme coins. Shiba Inu's SHIB jumped 5% alongside the move in Doge. Musk holds over 73,486,938 of common stock in Twitter, valued at over $2.8 billion at the current prices as reported. Musk is one of the most famous backers of cryptocurrencies. His electric car company Tesla reportedly held over $2 billion worth of Bitcoin at the end of 2021. Tesla additionally started accepting Bitcoin for its cars in 2021, but later ended the project citing climate concerns. Tesla also accepts Doge payments on its online merchandise store. The news has previously sent prices of Doge flying 11% in January. Musk has previously lent support to Dogecoin development and adoption. A May 2021 tweet saw Musk state he was working with Dogecoin developers to improve system efficiency. This sent Dogecoin prices flying by 22%. Then in June of 2021, he tweeted that it was important to support a proposal that sought to reduce Dogecoin fees. Now, one of the things here that really bugs me about CoinDesk is it's really not getting to the heart of the issue. And I do want to find a better article on Elon Musk basically talking about or seeing exactly what's going on with this Twitter deal. So let's get some more information here. Let's see if I can find a source that we can actually talk about this. We're going to use New York Times because this should be interesting and maybe it'll give us a separate view because like I said, from my perspective, this looks like from everything that Musk was tweeting and so on, it looks like it's in an intention to redirect the path that Twitter is on back towards free speech, right? So being a free speech platform. Now, New York Times may have a different perspective, so let's see what they say. It says Elon Musk becomes Twitter's largest shareholder. The Tesla chief executive, who has been critical of Twitter's content moderation policies, purchased 9.2% of the social media company. Elon Musk, the billionaire chief executive of Tesla and the world's wealthiest person, bought a nearly 10% stake in Twitter, the social media platform where he has more than 80 million followers and shares everything from business ideas and memes to this past weekend, his experience at a famed Berlin nightclub. The purchase made publicly on Monday in a regulatory filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission is worth about $2.89 billion based on the closing price of Twitter stock on Friday. News of Mr. Musk's buy-in sent Twitter share prices soaring. A spokesperson for Twitter did not immediately respond to messages requesting comment. Mr. Musk likewise did not respond to a request for comment. The purchase, equal to 9.2% of the company, appears to make Mr. Musk Twitter's largest shareholder. His holding is slightly larger than Vanguard's 8.8%, and at the end of last year, and it endorsed the 2.3% stake of Jack Dorsey, Twitter's former chief executive. The shares represent a fraction of Mr. Musk's reported $270 billion plus net worth. Mr. Musk has criticized the company in recent weeks for failing, in his view, to adhere to free speech principles. And he has openly considered starting a social network of his own that would be open source. His long and complicated personal relationship with the platform has also gotten him in trouble, with his tweets about Tesla's finances resulting in legal wranglings with the SEC. Some of Mr. Musk's ideas, like moving Twitter to an open source network, have earned support of Twitter's co-founder, Mr. Dorsey, who stepped down as chief executive last year. Quote, "The choice of which algorithm to use or not should be open to everyone," end quote, Mr. Dorsey said last month in a response to a tweet from Mr. Musk advocating an open source algorithm for the platform. Mr. Dorsey, who is friendly with Mr. Musk, is expected to leave the Twitter board in May. It is unclear what Mr. Musk's plans are beyond the large shareholder position and whether he'll ask or be invited to join Twitter's board. Mr. Musk filed a securities document indicating that he planned for the investment to be passive, meaning he does not intend to pursue control of the company. But there was also speculation Monday that he could change the status of his investment, continuing to buy shares or even try to acquire the company outright. Today's DealBook newsletter reported. Quote, "We would expect this passive stake as just the start of broader conversations with the Twitter board and management that could ultimately lead to an active stake and a potential more aggressive ownership role of Twitter," end quote. Daniel Ives, an analyst at Wedbush Securities, said Monday morning. If Mr. Musk pushes for change at Twitter, he would not be the first agitated investor the company has had to contend with in recent years. The activist firm Elliott Management took a position in Twitter and called for Mr. Dorsey's removal in 2020. It later struck a deal with Twitter that included a $1 billion investment from the private equity firm Silver Lake and brought on new board members, including Silver Lake's co-chief executive, Egon Durbin. Silver Lake partnered with Mr. Musk in his effort to take Tesla private. Mr. Musk's list of other business ventures run long. Beyond Tesla, he is chief executive of the rocket company SpaceX and founder of the Boring Company, a tunnel construction services company. Adding another role to the list could irk Tesla shareholders. In the last 2 months of last year, Mr. Musk sold around $16 billion of Tesla stock, equivalent to roughly 10% of his stake in the electric vehicle company. Tesla defied the supply chain problems that have strained most traditional car makers, adding to Mr. Musk's wealth and his influence in the tech and auto industries. Tesla nearly doubled sales last year, approaching 1 million vehicles sold. On Saturday, Tesla said it sold 310,000 cars in the first 3 months of 2022, a 70% increase from the same period a year earlier. Gains that contrast with steep declines reported last week by General Motors and Toyota Motor. Tesla's steadily expanding production network, including new factories in Austin, Texas, and near Berlin, positions the company to rival car makers like BMW and Mercedes-Benz in numbers of vehicles sold. Despite an array of new battery-powered models from Ford Motor, Kia, and others, Tesla continues to dominate the market for electric cars, the industry's fastest-growing segment. Still, executives who have juggled the media projects with other private endeavors have sometimes found themselves in policymakers' crosshairs. Former President Donald J. Trump, for example, took a dim view of Amazon because he disagreed with the coverage in the Washington Post, which Jeff Bezos bought in 2013. Tesla is a large beneficiary of environmental credits, while SpaceX pursues government contracts. Regardless of potential pushback, Mr. Musk may stand to gain from the investment. The document detailing Mr. Musk's stake said it was worth about $3 billion at Friday's closing price. It is dated March 14th, and Twitter's shares are up about 50% since then. Man, the ultimate pump and dumper, huh? Is that? No, I really do think that, obviously it's set as a passive stake right now, but due to like some of the tweets that are coming from us surrounding the concerns over free speech and that sort of thing, I would see this going down the route of him possibly considering taking an active stake here and beginning to at least try to have some influence over the algorithm and moving to open source. And I'm all for that, right? And unfortunately, in the way society works right now, or the economy works right now, which directly influences society based on shareholders and money and so on, you kind of need somebody like Elon Musk that has enough money to actually do something for things to change, unfortunately, in some of these circumstances. The only other option, like we've talked about before, especially as it pertains to cryptocurrency and blockchain, is that even though people do have the money and the power, the biggest threat, of course, is the numbers. So utilizing platforms that basically support your ideals or values and the fundamentals is up to you ultimately and up to the population. And if we can get the word out there about things that follow good fundamentals and good principles that we can all come to some sort of agreement on, then I think that is the best way to change. But like I said, unfortunately, when we are talking about the influence over things like Facebook and Twitter and so on, you kind of have to have somebody that has the money to start influencing it in a direction, in the opposite direction of what it's currently going in. And I think that it does become eventually an active stake. And I think that it will also, of course, depend on, the amount of censorship and so on and how bad it gets over at Twitter. So I'd like to hear your comments about this and what you think Musk's plans are. Was it purely to pump Dogecoin? Are we going to start seeing Dogecoin implemented into Twitter? Is that really what's going on? Or is it something else, more principled? I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.